Great, hello everyone. Today we are going to be briefly discussing the ZZ plant, which is known for its hardiness and for its drought tolerance. So this is a very easy to care for houseplant, and it's very popular right now due to how easy it is to care for and how really pretty the foliage is as well. This plant does flower, but it's not impressive or anything to write home about, so it is very commonly used as a foliage plant. So your light requirements on your ZZ plant, these do tolerate low light conditions fairly well. However, if you have the ability to place this plant in some bright and direct light, it will definitely be growing more prolifically, and it will thrive a little bit better than if you were to place it in a lower light condition. The ZZ plant is relatively unique in that it grows through rhizomes, which are kind of like potato-looking vesicles on the root of the plant that are kind of like a bulb, kind of, so to speak, and those act as a water storage and a nutrient storage as well. So that means that this plant can tolerate drought very well because it does have that extra water storage capability. So whenever you're watering your ZZ plant, I would definitely recommend only watering it whenever the soil is completely dry. That being said, because there is so much water storage in this plant, I would definitely recommend planting your ZZ plant in a more succulent type mix, meaning that it has a little bit more bark, sand, or perlite or charcoal, some kind of chunkier or less compacted substrate to allow water to drain through relatively easily. You don't want to have a whole lot of water sticking around at these roots because they already have water storage in those rhizomes, so have a pretty well draining mix with your ZZ plant. I have noticed that there is a small amount of signs of dehydration that you can observe whenever your plant is getting thirsty. You will start to see some foliage drooping a little bit more than it already does, and that will definitely be a sign that you should give it a healthy drink of water. When you are watering, I would definitely soak the soil. Don't water sparingly, just let it dry out completely and then give it a good soak, and it should stay happy and grow well for a very long time. The ZZ plant would prefer a little bit more of a humid scenario, and that would also help keep mites away because mites prefer a more dry climate. However, if you cannot provide higher humidity conditions for this plant, it will not be very fussy for you. It shouldn't be a big deal at all. The ZZ plants can sometimes get mites and other pests as well. I would definitely keep an eye on where the stem meets the foliage of the plant. Oftentimes that's where mites and mealybugs and things like that can collect and kind of make their webbing and things like that, and it can be harder to spot. So just keep an eye out for pests on your plant. This is a very foliage-rich plant as well, so whenever you do give this plant a water, if you have a hose or a shower head or a hose by your sink, I would definitely rinse off the foliage to allow the maximum amount of light onto the leaf, thus providing the plant with more energy. In addition, I would definitely recommend just using an all-purpose 10-10-10 or 20-20-20 fertilizer on your ZZ plant. Depending on the strength of your fertilizer, you could follow the directions and use it like once every month or two, or you can dilute it to like half or quarter strength and then give it a feeding every time you water it to kind of have like a slow release kind of effect. You could also opt for a natural fertilizer such as a worm casting or fish emulsion or liquid kelp or something like that. That would definitely benefit the plant as well. If not, having something with a little bit of a higher nitrogen content due to the amount of foliage on this plant as well. Propagating your ZZ plant is going to kind of call back to that rhizomal growth that I had mentioned before. So these guys are going to push out new growth at those rhizomes and kind of like potatoes grow in bunches kind of around themselves in these rhizomes. So whenever you are propagating a ZZ plant, you can do so through division. So you could break up, if we actually take a look at this plant, you can see there are you know, a good amount of stems all coming out of this pot. So I could just pull all of these stems apart and just put them in their own separate planter and then make more plants, or, you know, have 3 or 4 in one plant. And then over time, this plant or this planter will start to fill up with more rhizomes, and that is when you can divide to propagate the plant as well. Very hardy root system. Kind of like whenever snake plants, whenever they get out of control. Whenever I got this plant from the nursery, the pot was like all deformed and stuff because these roots are just massive root, which definitely contributes to the hardy nature of the plant. More often than not, if you have a plant with more delicate roots, you are probably going to have a more delicate plant on your hands, but that's not always the case, but just something to keep in mind. Anyways, guys, very easy plant to care for. Just do not overwater it. Provide it with a decent amount of light. No direct light would be required or recommended. And it should be, you know, happy and healthy for you. All right, everyone. So that being said, I will see you in the next video. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing for new videos almost every day on plant care. And let me know if you have any topics that you would like to see covered, and I will keep in touch. Bye, everyone.